everybody. Welcome to Build. I'm your host, Brittany Jones-Cooper, and our next guest is Maria Bamford. She's here to talk about her new topic series, What's Your Ailment?, where she talks openly with other comedians and artists about their experiences with mental health. Please put your hands together for Maria Bamford.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you for having me on the show. Excellent.
Hi, Maria. How you doing today?
Very good. Very good.
Yeah.
Lovely to be here in New York. I'm from Los Angeles, so this is very exciting.
Is it very intense when you come to New York?
Well, there's the thing. My favorite thing is just there's so much food and drink available every few feet. That is my favorite. In Los Angeles, you got to drive somewhere. Here, you just shuffle down the street, and I got a giant muffin.
That's the thing. Also, the food in LA is just a lot healthier, and here you can really just get greasy.
Yes.
Real fast. I love it.
Los Angeles, sometimes the people will take away the food before you're done with it. They say, "Ooh, I think you're done." Yeah, no, it's a controlled environment, Los Angeles.
Definitely. I'm so excited to be chatting with you. I am sincerely a true fan of yours.
Thank you.
I've always just appreciated your brand of comedy. The honesty and the authenticity that you bring to the stage is very rare, and I just really enjoy watching you, which is why I was excited to check out the show, What's Your Ailment? So I sort of described it a little bit, but how do you describe the show, and why was it something you wanted to do?
Well, it's interviewing people about whatever they consider to be perhaps a mental health issue, or can be a physical issue. We interviewed Tig Notaro about her struggles with different health struggles. So I think it's just because the healthcare is so terrible in our country, even if you have insurance, it can be difficult to find a good practitioner, that I love talking about it, because sometimes when I've gotten terrible health care, I thought it was my fault, or feel like, I'm just going to stop because it doesn't matter, so it's just like dating. You got to keep looking for the right doctor, or for the right help.
And like I said, you've always been really open and transparent about your experience, but was it difficult to get other people to be open and honest, or was it easy?
I think it's so much easier now. I don't think there's much stigma, especially about depression, addiction. Bipolar is a little less problematic. I would say maybe schizophrenia, schizoaffective disorder is a little less known or talked about in professional by people publicly. We had Ellen Sachs, who's a law professor, on, and she talks openly about it, which is so fantastic. And so it was very easy. I think especially comedians are willing to talk about anything. It's all worthy of the stage.
So who are some of the people you've had on the show so far?
We've had Aparna Nancherla, Baron Vaughn, Tig Notaro, Tom Arnold, who is hilarious and very, very open.
I saw Tom's. He was very raw.
Yes.
And you very rarely get to see people talking about what was a traumatic childhood, really.
Yes.
Just so openly, and you can see the therapy, the work he's done and continues to do.
Yeah, and I really like the way he expresses himself is very much open book accounting. Like, you know everything about Tom Arnold. He will tell you everything. And I like preventative honesty. Like, I already told you. I told you what I was like. Don't be surprised when it turns out he was great. Let me see. There was also Rachel Bloom of Crazy Ex-Girlfriend, which is a very wonderful show about borderline personality disorder. And or for me, that's what it was about, although I'm sure it was about other things. It was also about romance and friendship, and there's a lot. There's something in there besides that. But let me see who else. Andy Kindler. Yes, we have so many TED people. Okay, yes, good list.
That's a good list.
Yes, yeah.
It seems like you enjoy hosting. Watching you in that seat, asking the questions, it seems like you're very curious.
I am
has
very
it been
curious.
really fun for you to be the one asking the questions?
I do. Yes, I do like to find out what's going on. I especially like to find out what kind of free healthcare people have gotten, or what terrible healthcare people have gotten that's actually been weirdly helpful. I once went to a therapist who was so freaked out by my problem. She was like, "What are you gonna do?" And I was like, I think I'm going to be fine. And it kind of actually gave me, I was like, I'm gonna be good. So yeah, like I love hearing about that. But thank you very much for saying that. I close my eyes when I ask people questions, which is not. I don't think that's the greatest interviewing technique.
I don't know. I mean, you're asking good questions. Whatever works. Nobody cares what your eyes are doing as long as what's coming out of your mouth makes sense.
Well, I appreciate. I'm glad. I'm glad.
And you do ask that healthcare question to most of your guests.
Yes.
So is there an underlying thing you want to raise there of just like, because I remember you asked Rachel Bloom, like, she talked about this amazing therapist you had, and you're like, was that included in your insurance? And she's like, no.
Nope.
Okay, that sucks. For
No, because I think that's really important to acknowledge that I want to say, especially, and I was saying in part of the show that entertainment is a much more open environment to talk about having any sort of ailment, and how difficult it is to find help. It's easy to throw a bunch of money at stuff. If there's tremendous help out there if you have $1,000 and can go to a remote area in Big Sur, California. But what have you done? I've called an operator before when you used to be able to call the public payphone. I dialed 0 once and talked to an operator for a while. What have you done? You can text the suicide hotline. Sometimes it takes them a second. They might have to put you on hold. But you can also call them. Text to 741-741, and you can get somebody to talk to you there. But what can you do that's free? Of course, friends and family are also an option, but that has a different emotional cost.
I just love that you asked that question because, I mean, so many of us have gone to therapy. And I went to therapy in my early 20s, and I remember I could only go for 3 months because that's all my work paid for. And the network was very limited with the social workers I could see. And it was like this very constricted experience where, you know, if you were somebody who was really going through something, you're like, well, that's not an option, really.
Well, it's completely useless.
Yeah.
I believe Kaiser Permanente does this thing where it signs up, so you get to see someone right away, and then the next session you have is 2-3 months from then. So even if you have just been hospitalized or, you know, had a major crisis or trauma happen, it's almost like re-traumatizing the person. Like, so what was it again? Like, over and over again with different, I mean... why even? So I love free stuff. I love the 12-step support group movement. I think that's pretty helpful. They can't kick you out, even if you don't believe in any of this stuff. You can sit in the back of a meeting with a bottle of Jack Daniels eating a birthday cake. They can't kick you out. Oh, so great.
You haven't done that.
What? No, I haven't. But you can. And there are free things out there. The internet. I know NAMI and has different support available. But that's what's most interesting. What doesn't cost anything.
And it's also, I think, interesting to hear your guests talk about all the other sort of supplemental things they do, whether it's meditation or gratitude journals, or just sort of I think Jen Kirk talked about just dancing every day and how that kind of brings her joy.
Yeah.
I think it's important for people to recognize that there are tools you can use in addition to medication and therapy, which are important.
Yeah, and that there's marijuana, there's all sorts of different options. The same thing doesn't work for everybody. For me, it's medication, and I do enjoy the process of therapy, but that's not for everybody. Some people don't find it helpful at all. So I don't find chiropractic at all interesting. I'm not. Oh.
What about acupuncture?
No, not on board.
Oh, I love
acupuncture. Oof. Boo.
They put one like right in the middle of my head and I just pass out.
Oh, really? Yeah, no, I have a friend, my dear friend Jackie Cation she loves a treatment, a hot cupping. No thanks.
So you do ask each of your guests what is their kind of best or worst therapy experience?
Yes.
How about you? What is your best and then what is your worst?
Oh, goodness. I've the best one, I think I had a psychiatrist once who was hospitalized for bipolar, and he sat down and said, "Tell me everything from the beginning." And he actually sounded like he was interested. And I'm like, what? Like, I mean, that's unbelievable. To ask somebody who's in a psychiatric situation to say, tell me everything at the beginning seems so generous. So that was probably one of the best experiences I've ever had. But then it turned out he didn't take insurance outside of that hospitalization. So couldn't continue seeing him. But the worst, I just was with BetterHelp.com. I thought I would get an online therapist because I travel so much. The first interaction I had with the therapist, she texted me, Christine, of course you're stressed. You just had a baby. And I feel for Christine, but it seems like the therapist is a little distracted. Maybe she's a little stressed out. No, so because the whole point of therapy is that someone is there for you. Yeah. But yeah, so that's probably the worst. Yeah. But that costs something. It costs $200 a month. BetterHelp.com. Yes.
Can't even remember who you are.
No, because she's toggling. She's just stressed all of us. She's toggling back and forth between apps.
It's exhausting.
And then think about Christine. She just had a baby, you guys.
Your mental health life journey has been a part of your comedy since I started following you. Was that always the case when you got into comedy? Was it a way to sort of process what was going on in your life?
I think I've always been okay talking about stuff. I've been in. My mom was a therapist, marriage and family therapist, and there was mental health problems with a lot of people in our family. So I was open to going to therapy at a very young age. So I am comforted by everybody knowing everything. Like, that feels really good to me to go, this is the whole thing, where some people feel more comforted the less people know stuff. I love attention. Oh my God. That is a very good feeling to me. Is everybody looking? Is everybody looking? That's my favorite feeling. So it wasn't hard for me to talk about it.
How long have you been doing stand-up?
25 years.
25 years.
Yes.
And is it still fun every time you get up there?
I would say it's just like any job. I mean, I worked as a secretary for 15 years, and I know that sometimes I was very excited to go to work because of probably mostly because of the beverage selection at work. Sometimes they have sodas if you work at the right company. What?
Here.
They have sodas?
We have a soda machine.
What?
I know.
You don't have to put money in it?
No. And you can mix flavors. So it's like Coke, and then they give you like 5 options, and they're like Coke with cherry, Coke with lime, Coke with grape. Like, we've got like all options.
Hold up. Is there an ice machine?
Yes.
God damn it.
I know.
See, that's the kind of thing. It's very exciting to go to work when you have that waiting for you. It's very similar to comedy. Comedy, I love comedy clubs. There's lots of deep fried foods and free drinks, or at least free well drinks. So I'm still excited, but it is also a job, So obviously, sometimes you feel a little tired, or I'll speak for myself. I feel a little tired.
I feel a little tired too. All the time.
This
weather doesn't help. Also.
Oh yeah, no, it's chilly outside.
Yeah. I bring that up because I saw your new stand-up.
Yeah.
And you just look like you're having so much fun up there. It's called Weakness is the Brand.
Weakness is the Brand, yes.
And tell us why you chose that title.
Just that I've been told, because I have a bit of a tremor because of medications I'm on, why don't you take a medication, offset the hundreds of medications you're already on so that everyone feels more comfortable? To which I'd like to say weakness is the brand. I got a TV series based on having a bipolar episode. So I may be mental, but I'm also a millionaire.
Right?
So
say that to the camera.
Yes. It's been a cash cow, weirdly enough. I wouldn't recommend it, but it's been all right.
Take us through the work it takes, though, to put together a stand-up, because I know that there's a lot of prep that goes into putting together a show like that.
Well, 4 years ago, you start with talking for 10 minutes about a few ideas on stage. Then you add more time to that, and then you add more, and then pretty soon, oh my God, it's an hour. Oh my God. And then hopefully you do that for, at least I did it for about 3 years, the same hour, and then it's good enough or interesting enough for someone to say, we'll pay for it to be filmed. Otherwise, I would have, I mean, I probably I could have paid for it and had it made myself. That's something many comedians are doing, which is a great option. And yeah, but it takes me a long time. I know some other comics can do a new special every 6 months, thus making it a little less special, a little more ubiquitous.
If I see somebody with too many specials, then I'm like, those can't all be good.
Well, I don't know. Some people are geniuses. Some people are fantastic. I'm slow. But yeah, just takes a long time.
I love the way you guys filmed this one as well, because you had the cameras on the ground that
Yes.
you could address.
Yes.
So why was it important to you to have those cameras that you could they were sort of your like you're breaking the fourth wall?
Well, I'm always watching TV, usually by myself, so I like somebody addressing so it's like, especially stand up, like you're just like, well, I wasn't there. Why don't you acknowledge me? I'm doing my laundry over here. Yeah. So I want to acknowledge, yeah, and the audience is everything. They are the context which makes this seem less bizarre.
What kind of feedback do you get from your audience?
So very positive. I think because of the internet, you draw who's interested. I'm not going up in front of crowds who are like, "What is this?" Which I think used to happen a lot before the internet, where people wouldn't know what they'd come to see, and that's when heckling starts. Is when you've been forced to have a couple drinks, and you're like, "I'm upset. It's my birthday. I didn't want to see this." But now you can YouTube it and not be so horrified by what you've come to see.
And I know you always include a lot of personal things, including your parents and your husband.
Yes.
So do they ever give you feedback of like what you can't put in the show, or are they pretty kind of supportive of you sharing those personal stories?
Anything they've said has been very helpful. Recently, I felt terrible. My mom said, "Well, honey, I feel really good about my appearance." And then I had to, she said, "I wish you would stop doing that one joke." And I said, I had to ask her which one. I'm not a good person. But I've been very good. My sister has asked me not to do material about her anymore at all, which, fair enough, yeah.
All right, well, we do have a couple of questions for you.
Oh, okay, excellent. Oh, my God.
The first one comes from Twitter. Rebecca Bunch has asked, as far as joking about mental health goes, I firmly believe in using humor to cope, and I do it a lot as a person with borderline. But how do you gauge what is or isn't too far to talk or joke about when it comes to your own issues and or trauma?
Well...
So yeah, where do you draw the line for yourself?
I think you know when you've hurt your own feelings, where you're like, hey, wait a minute. Wow, why did I just throw myself under the bus? Like... Yeah, you know when you feel bad about saying something about yourself that is or revealing something you're not ready to talk about. Yeah, but yeah, I think you can talk about anything. I think that's I'm really grateful about comedy is that it is, or the arts in general, is that it is a place to talk about stuff. I just heard this guy. He was performing. And he said. He said, I'm a registered sex offender. You know what? That's only worse than a registered sex offender, an unregistered one. At least guys know where I'm at. Hands up here. Which I was like, right on. You know, like I appreciate that it's a place to be honest about where you're at in life.
In this stand-up, I won't give the joke away, but you make a joke about like the suicide prevention hotline, and I was like, wow, I've never laughed at a joke like this, but it felt okay because of the context and the conversation you were having around it. You know what I mean?
Well, yeah, and I think there's something too. If you've had the experience, then the joke is that after. Most obituaries for someone who's died of suicide, they have the number for the suicide hotline, which I know is helpful. I've called that line number myself, but it always feels a little condescending. You know, like, I've tried to kill myself. I know what the fucking number is. It just feels like somebody dies of drowning and then there's an ad for a raft. I'm depressed. I'm not a moron. Yeah, I guess I've had the experience, so I think it's one thing if you're making fun of something from an external point of view and going, oh, look at those idiots over there. But I have had that it is my experience, so I do feel okay talking about it. At least that's my personal preference for comedy. Is like I have to have had experienced it. Yeah, like on some level. Otherwise, it would be weird for me to having a strong opinion about it. Kids, God, my kids. I'm a single mother with no kids, and that's what's so hard. People don't get it. You know, like I can't talk about something I don't know.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I'm so jealous of your voices, by the way.
Yeah. I do. I just do about 3. I do 3 or 3 to 6. But yeah.
Do you have any that you are currently sort of playing with or developing, or is that something you do?
No. A little bit. Like yeah, I'm trying to develop a multi-level marketing character who does sales of Christian household items, but with lesser-known biblical quotes from Timothy and Revelations. So I'm there's some quotes from the Bible that were really, ooh.
I'm excited.
You don't want around the house.
Where's our audience question? Right here.
I love how open you are about your mental health. So what does mental self-care mean to you?
I think, yeah, it's like a moment by moment, day to day thing. Like I was in a cab over here and I was just on another radio show and somebody just some really mean tweets about, I don't know, something like, hey, she's crazy and ugly or something, and it's like, okay, do I need to read these? I think I'm good. And I did some mindfulness meditation and texted some friends, who all said, those fucking assholes, and heart, you're great. So that kind of thing. And yeah, just try to get enough sleep and not eat Oreos for every meal.
They're so good.
So, God dang it, especially when they're double stuff. I mean, that's basically din-din. That's good din-din.
How do you feel about golden Oreos?
Oh, no, I haven't had enough of those to have a strong opinion about it. They're not often available.
That's my Oreo preference.
Oh, interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Just try them out.
No, I will.
Yeah.
I mean, now that I haven't had anybody go on a limb and say, are they called
They're
blonde?
called golden
Golden
Oreos. Yeah, I'm
Oreos,
willing
okay.
to advocate for them. I think they're really underrated.
Okay,
So just check them out. Let me
I'm
know how
in.
you feel.
Do they have a double stuff version as well?
I think that'd be too much.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know. I'm gonna.
I got that.
I'm kind of a double stuff lady. I love double stuff. I could actually just do with the double stuff inside the stuff. Like I don't even need the cookie. No.
So it's straight up sugar, just straight to your veins.
Yeah. My sister and I would get one of those can of frostings from the gas station. Scoop. Eat that on a hot summer's day.
It's like ice cream.
We were like tramps.
One more.
Hi. So you were an executive producer on this project and some other ones as well. And I was wondering what it's been like for you to have that kind of control over your projects and how you came to work in that capacity.
Yeah, I'm not very good at confrontation or different, trying to say exactly what I want. So it has been challenging and also to accept different viewpoints to go, oh, that might be just as valid, which is a reason I do stand up, because stand up, I get to direct the whole show. It's very much under my control, unless, of course, someone gets tased in the audience and then everything goes to hell in a handbasket. But it has been a challenge to, I got to have on this What's Your Ailment, I wasn't the only producer, so I got to pitch some comedians myself, and then some people they wanted on the show, and that is interesting to go, okay, and be more of a team player. Same thing as on the TV show Lady Dynamite I did was very much a group project. But stand up, I get to do the whole thing myself, and nobody can say anything, which is delightful.
Thank you for your question.
Oh yes, thank you.
I really do love this show for so many reasons, and I think the main thing is you're interviewing all of these very successful people that we've seen, and I think it's so easy to look at somebody who has it all and not realize the personal journey that they're going through. And I think it's just so important because mental illness is something that affects so many people.
Yeah, yeah.
It's so universal.
Yeah, and even if you just have small amounts of anxiety or depression, or have it in another in a friend or relative, can be. I feel like people who are friends or relatives with people with mental illness need so much more support than they get, because it can be terrifying when somebody is not doing well, who's close to you, and yeah. So.
I think it's so important to continue having the open dialogue. I think we are in a point where it's a little more accessible, but watching a show like this and where people are really, like you said, giving the tools that they use, offering the free options, I think it's just so important to have a resource like that.
Yeah.
So I love this show. I wish you
thank
continued
you.
success.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
And if you guys want to check it out, you can stream What's Your Ailment on Topic. Visit www.topic.com. And make sure to check out Maria Bamford's new comedy special, Weakness is the Brand, via Apple TV, Amazon Prime Video, and YouTube. Put your hands together for Maria.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.